The Garden of Letters. Chapter 1, A Chance Encounter. In the heart of a sleepy French village called Montvier, nestled between rolling vineyards and quiet cobblestone streets, lived a young woman named Elodie Laurent. Elodie worked in the town's little library, a charming building filled with the scent of old pages and lavender-scented wood. She loved silence, poetry, and the soft rhythm of life in Montvier. One rainy afternoon, a stranger walked into the library. He was drenched, tall, with kind eyes and a British accent. His name was Thomas Blake, a travel writer looking for peace to finish his latest book. They spoke briefly, about weather, books, and nothing at all, yet something shifted. Elodie felt it, and so did he. Chapter 2, The Language of Letters. Over the next weeks, Thomas became a regular visitor. Not just to the library, but to her world. He brought her rare books, shared stories from his travels, and listened to hers. She, in turn, introduced him to the local vineyards, the old ruins, and the legend of the Garden of Letters, an abandoned part of the village where lovers used to leave handwritten letters in tree hollows, hoping their words would be found by the one destined for them. One day, Elodie slipped a letter into one of the trees, unsure why she did it. Maybe it was just for the thrill, or maybe it was something deeper. Days later, she found a reply. Written in the same tree. Signed simply, T. Chapter 3, Words Between the Lines. They wrote to each other in secret, even though they met almost every day. Their letters were more honest than their conversations, filled with vulnerability, fear, longing. Elodie wrote about her dreams of leaving Montvier but being too afraid. Thomas confessed he didn't want to keep traveling anymore. He longed to find a place that felt like home. With each letter, they grew closer, even though they never spoke of them aloud. They lived two love stories at once, one in the quiet reality of their everyday, and another in ink and paper beneath an old chestnut tree. Chapter 4, The Goodbye. Summer was fading, and so was time. Thomas had to return to London. He told Elodie during a walk along the vineyard. She smiled, though her heart cracked. "Will you come back?" she asked. "I don't know," he said honestly. "But all right." The day before he left, she placed one final letter in the tree. Dear T. If love lives in words, then I have already loved you 1,000 times. But if love lives in silence, then maybe I've loved you even more. Come back when you're ready, I'll be here. Yours, E. Chapter 5, The Return. A year passed. Seasons changed. Letters stopped. Elodie waited. She worked. She smiled. But every week, she returned to the Garden of Letters, just in case. One evening, during spring's first bloom, she found a letter. Dear E. I've searched the world to find a place that feels like home. And I realized, it's where you are. May I stay? She turned, and there he was, Thomas, older, tired, but smiling like the rain had finally stopped. Elodie didn't need to speak. She just held out her hand. Together, they walked home, the long path through the vineyards, past the chestnut tree, toward a future written not just in letters, but in love. A Song for Winter. Chapter 1, The Melody of Snow. In the heart of Prague, where the cobbled streets whispered history and the winter air hummed with old songs, Elena worked in a little music shop tucked between an antique bookstore and a quiet cafe. Her days were filled with tuning violins and recommending records to wandering tourists, but her heart always belonged to the piano in the corner, a worn but elegant upright that had seen decades of fingers dancing across its keys. Every evening after closing, she would play. Her melodies were soft and melancholic, inspired by memories she could never quite hold on to in dreams that always escaped just before waking. What she didn't know was that someone had been listening. Chapter 2, The Stranger and the Song. Lucas was a composer, well, he had been, before the music left him. After a tragic accident claimed his brother, his world turned silent. For 2 years, he wandered through cities and countries, trying to remember what it felt like to create. One cold December night, passing by Elena's shop, he heard her play. He didn't enter, just stood outside, the snow gathering on his coat, as the music wrapped around his grief like a blanket. He returned the next night, and the next, until eventually, one evening, he opened the door. Elena looked up, surprised. "We're closed." "I know," he said. "But I heard your music. May I sit?" Something about his voice, or maybe the way his eyes looked like they had forgotten how to smile, made her nod. Chapter 3, Warming Hearts. They began meeting after hours. At first, Lucas only listened. Then, he started bringing pages of half-finished compositions. Elena played them for him, sometimes adjusting notes, sometimes adding her own flair. Together, they stitched melodies out of sorrow and hope. Their friendship bloomed like spring under the snow. Lucas would bring coffee from the cafe next door, and Elena would teach him Czech phrases between chords. Music became their shared language, a language neither had spoken fluently in years, yet one that came alive between them. Chapter 4, The Silence Between. As the days grew colder, so did Lucas's fear. He was falling in love, but a part of him still believed he didn't deserve it, not after what happened to his brother, not after abandoning his gift. One night, he didn't show up. Then another. Elena waited, uncertain and hurt. But she kept playing, every evening, just in case. Lucas sat by the river that week, watching the ice form. He held a letter in his coat pocket, the last one his brother had written him, encouraging him to keep writing, to keep living. He realized then that love was not betrayal to the past, it was a tribute. Chapter 5, The Return. New Year's Eve blanketed Prague in light and laughter. Elena, alone in the shop, played one of Lucas's songs. She didn't expect him to walk in, snow in his hair, tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry," he said. "For disappearing?" she asked softly. "For being afraid to love you." She didn't answer. She simply stood, walked to the piano, and pressed his hand to the keys. "Then show me." Epilogue, a song for winter. Months later, their first composition premiered in a local concert hall, A Song for Winter. It was a story in sound, a story of loss, silence, meeting, and healing. In the front row, a few listeners cried. On stage, Lucas and Elena sat side by side, hands brushing between notes. The music had returned. And so had love.